first time ever.
Hear you loud and clearly.
And it was going place.
That stuff's great.
But the game is not a roguelike.
Boomer shooter.
Bang.
Hello, this is John St. John, and you're listening to KEEP in the Keep, bringing you all the hits from the finest in the world of gaming and entertainment. Now sit back and relax as the drowned god Cthulhu lulls your mind with the tastiest talk in town.
Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, the Motherlode. The Keep is a collective of gaming enthusiasts compelled by the drowned god Cthulhu to frag and jib one another into oblivion for all eternity. It is December. We are squarely in the middle of time for getting ready for the Cthulhu days. Yule time, Christmas is coming up, midwinter, Hanukkah's in a couple of days, I think, December 10th. So, whatever you do, whatever you celebrate it with your friends and family. And thank you for joining the show today. This is a really cool episode for me because let's listen back to... I believe it was the Dave Oshry episode. Yes. And I mentioned someone on there called Steev. And I'm sure many of you listening to that were like, who the fuck is Steev? Well, he's one of the coolest people at New Blood. He's just a QA tester. And I think that that's one of the things about making video games that people don't really think about too much. We think about designers, we think about the CEOs and the front-facing members of the companies and everything, but behind all that, there are the people who actually make the game playable for you, the people who find all the bugs and point them out and make them fix them. And aside from that, Steev is just a really, really chill dude. He's got a super interesting story, a lot of trial and tribulation in his background, leading up to him now working at one of the coolest companies in the entire gaming industry, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure in many of yours if you're a fan of this show. So I'm not going to talk for too long this time. I'm just going to go ahead and get right down to business. We're going to play a little track by the great Andrew Hulshult. This is from Dusk by New Blood Interactive. So enjoy that, and very shortly you will be in the Keep with Steev.
Everything with New Blood's actually kind of unique with how it happened. They opened up the Discord and start filing in. We all got in there, and I'd say it's a lot different than probably other people's processes of getting to where we are now. Originally, we were the original members in the Discord, and it started expanding, so they needed mods, so we got pulled in as the mod team. And then, it was 2 or 3 months later, I think Dave came to us and was like, hey, y'all want to do QA? You want to get in here? You want to work on Dusk? And, we wrote a email or something accepting this and whatnot. So that's pretty much how we all got in.
And who's we all at this point?
500, which is Scott.
Yeah.
There's Cam, who's on Mutual. Myself. Zombie actually got in there before us. When he first saw the first Dusk trailer, he was like, oh, with all these references, this is gonna be shit. But then he ends up being the first person outside of David working on it.
Is he still working on the Dusk World port, or is that?
The SDK?
No. The whatever it ends up being. Like, I was under the impression, and I think a few people here in my Discord were also under the impression that Zombie had been hired specifically to port Dusk World, like to make it into a full on, unique by itself game, like to rebuild it.
Oh, what he's been doing is actually been doing like the entire game, like thing. It's like he's making, I guess you could say, its own engine.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. I haven't really seen much of the specifics about it. I just know without this, there wouldn't be custom levels. There wouldn't be any of this fancy stuff that's coming out.
So you go from Discord moderator to QA guy. Like, what is it that you actually do as a QA guy? Because you hear that term a lot, and I don't think a lot of people really know what that entails. And because it's kind of different on different projects.
Right. For Dusk, I was pretty much just play the game, find things that are broken, report them, and rinse, repeat, get a new build, run through it for like 6-8 hours, post anything that's wrong, repeat, and we took it from there.
And when you're doing this, like, so do you have a process by which you keep notes organized or whatever, or is it just like, hey man, this shit's fucked up and this port, this spot right here, and screenshot it? Like, what's that process like for you?
We use a thing called Trello,
mm-hmm.
where we put up like cards and how to reproduce bugs and whatnot. So like we'll post a video privately somewhere on YouTube, like unlisted, put it on the Trello. They can go look into it, and they're like, okay, so one of the things that was like, I forgot, it was like 3 a.m. Someone said, I think it was David, was like, this needs fixed. And we're just like, wait, what needs fixed? Was that even proper English? And it was actually, so for like the longest time, we were just going, oh, this needs fixed. This needs fixed. It's like, oh, okay.
I've heard a lot of people use it that way. That's not proper English, but definitely, especially down south, people say that this needs fixed all the time. That's not rare. But so, you start off, it was just Dusk at the time, right? Like there wasn't a whole lot else going on. Spaceman was sort of in limbo. And
yes, Spaceman was brought in a little bit later. I'm trying to remember the best I can. We were pulled in for Dusk, and then Zag and Unfortunate Spaceman came like a few months later, I think they signed the contract with Dave. Not quite sure. Everything like that's kind of a blur. It was, at the time it was just Dusk. I think Leon and Simon were also in there as well, but we didn't know what they were doing at the time. Like a medieval was just this thing floating around. I think I can say that. Well, the game's fully out, so I think I can say that.
Yeah. We'll send it by Dave before I publish it, just to make sure he's cool with everything.
Yeah, I'm sure, because like, what happened was we were pulled in originally for Dusk, and Spaceman came along, and then Simon and Leon, they worked on Rot, so Dave pulled them in, and they just popped in the VC. He's like, hey, yo, you want to see what we're working on? They're like, what are you working on? He pulls up like the share monitor screen on Discord. You just see this like this box with enemies in it, and like the champion standing above it with its all like plain textured stuff, and they were like, oh, this is really neat, and that ended up becoming a medieval.
It's such a great fucking game, man. Like, it's, how, you have like Eruption is like, a guitar solo. It's just Eddie Van Halen showing off how good he is at guitar. Or you have like Rap God, where it's Eminem trying to pretend like he's still, super relevant. But regardless, showing off all his best rap skills in one song. And a Medieval is those guys just, this is how good we are at level design. Suck that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So basically, you just get paid to continually just play all these new video games that no one else has access to over and over again and find everything that's wrong with it. So if a bug makes it all the way to the finished product, do we blame you or?
There have been a few bugs that we've run into that have been like Yeah, this is here, but we don't know exactly what causes it. They're usually like super rare. We've had a few like that, but now with how everything's going, we have more people around. They've been finding out ways to fix it. I just kind of sit there and I play a game and go, shit's broke, dude. Here's a report. Here's how to do it. Shit's broke.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know. That's such a weird way to make use of your time. Period. It's awesome. I mean, I'm kind of jealous, but
it's from other friends I've had, like actually working like in big companies. Like I've had friends who worked at Ubisoft. I've had friends who worked for what was it? They became Daybreak. Sony Online Interactive or Sony SOE. That's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends that work there, and when they saw me on Facebook switch, quality assurance / community moderator at New Blood Interactive. They're like, oh, how's that going? I was like, oh, it's pretty swell. I do this, and this. And like, oh, that's a lot different than from what I was doing when I was classified as QA. So I'd say it's not as traditional as a normal QA job elsewhere, but we're still nailing game after game after game.
Well, that's what's so cool about your position is that, a lot of people get QA jobs and they just, 99% of the time just play hot garbage all day. And that's just it's work. But, and I'm not saying what you do isn't work, but you work for a really fucking cool company who exclusively makes really cool games. So you're really lucky in that regard.
Yeah. I've had a few friends play some games that, like you said, were hot garbage and they never saw the light of day. And I went to a bar with one of them before COVID struck, which COVID fucking sucks. And they're like, yeah, I played this it was like some type of, like a Streets of Rage clone. But for some reason, like the person who was working on it was like, no, this needs 2 players. You can't play this solo. So I don't care if you're testing it with another controller plugged in. You're doing this way. This is what you're doing. And I'm like,
I think you mentioned Sony SOE, like online, whatever the fuck it was called, online entertainment. Did Stephen Kick and his wife work there at some point? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I guess that would be a Google thing. Stephen Kick SOE.
I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaking it for something else.
Yeah, he did actually. Literally.
My memory is fucking insane sometimes. It's like in the short term worthless, but stupid trivial crap like that, it's like, wow, look at you, Motherlode, you fucking kick ass.
He goes by Pripyat Beast, right? Yep, artist Stephen Kick right there.
I'm amazing. So like the last time you and me actually had the conversation was, I guess we were both drunk at QuakeCon and we were smoking cigarettes out by, where the BYOC is, and then you have that little smoke pit that's under the bridge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But we had, I don't know, I hit it off pretty good with you. I don't know if you even remember because you'd apparently drank like a whole bottle of vodka or something. You're an animal. And I knew at that point.
It wasn't vodka. It turned out to be Everclear.
Even better.
I walked the next day when I woke up. I walked back downstairs when we were taking everything apart. I ran into the person that gave me the bottle. I was like, "You told me this was vodka." And they're like, "Oh no, it was Everclear." And I'm like, "You told me this was vodka. I fucking almost died in the bathroom. What do you mean?"
Man, you were a fucking animal, but I knew that like this guy's fucking cool, and you were trying to explain to me what it is that you do. You're like, yeah, I'm a QA and all this stuff, but the way you were putting it at the time made it sound like the most disorganized fucking job. And I know that the company has grown significantly since then and got, better at things, but what like keeps you wanting to do it? Is it just like, I really enjoy the games, or is it, have you got nothing else? Why is this so cool and important to you?
The people around me mostly.
Yeah.
And like, we've got David, we've got Leon and Simon, we got Akita, who's now doing ULTRAKILL with us. We've got Dylan working Gloomwood, and like I get along with all of them swimmingly, and it's really enjoyable to sit here and help them out with their games. But yeah, it's mostly just the people around us, and it's. If I said it was like, maybe I was just explaining it super badly at QuakeCon, because I like you said, I polished off an entire bottle and I was sitting there smoking cigarettes, like yeah. So I was probably out of my mind. I was probably just so gone.
What was funny about it is that I thought you were David because you guys look so similar.
That's right, I did.
And so I just sit down and start talking to you. I'm like, hey, what's up, Dave? And you're like, I'm not David, I'm Steve, man. I was like, who the fuck are you? And I don't know. It's so fucking weird. Like, the absolute monumental amount of awesome shit that you guys as a team have turned over and constantly just managed to hire more really cool people. Obviously, we got to attribute that to Dave for just being who he is and everything. But like the brand that's been built around New Blood at this point is synonymous with like quality, badassery, and memery. And you're like I don't know, you fit into that whole perspective so well. So when you when you're looking at this team, from then to now, like Hakida, right? Like everybody seems to have a different workflow from what I can tell. Like he's very, on his own from what he's told me in regards to development. And then you have a whole different kind of thing going on with Airdorf, as I understand it. Or is anyone else working on episode 3 for Faith other than him?
For all I know, it's primarily just him, I believe.
Yeah.
Because that's like Faith is that's his baby. That's his, that's all him. So I'm not sure if he has someone else helping him behind the scenes. I don't really know. In fact, I don't even know if I can actually say that because I personally don't know.
It could be edited out.
But okay, yeah, but I think it's all him.
That's weird. As I see, the different projects come along, because the way that, I'm just learning all this stuff myself, having done this podcast for a few years and talked to a bunch of people. That's how I learn everything. I didn't go to fucking school or get a foot in the door of the industry at all. But, like 3D Realm is another example where you have some projects that are kind of like in-house, and you have other projects where it's like, we're just going to supply funding to the maker of that project and then publish it later. And does that change your relationship with like playtesting the games? Is kind of what I'm trying to ask.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. We get the builds, we run through them, we will report what we find, and the main people who are working on it, they'll look at that, they'll do what they can, they'll fix shit up, get another build, and just, nothing like that will affect anything.
So what's the schedule like for you? Because it's, people all over the globe doing work at all different times of the day.
Whenever we get an at on Discord, that's literally it. We get an at if a build is up, and we'll just go into it. It might be at who knows, 1 p.m. It might be at 4 a.m. We're all over the world, so.
And so do you have any other commitments in life, or do you just wake up and deal with it, or just whenever you do wake up, deal with it? How does that work? What's the timeline for you?
I'm personally disabled. I worked out in the real world outside of my room, away from everything online for let's say 9-10 years. So right now I'm just on SSDI and I'm doing the New Blood stuff, sort of like a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
A really dedicated hobby, but a hobby. Because once you're on SSDI, you can't really be getting paid that much. It's this whole thing that I have to deal with every now and then. They're like, oh, we need to review something. I'm like, okay, this is what I've been doing. This is what I got for New Blood. And they're like, okay, keep going. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So yeah, before New Blood, I really had nothing. I just sat around, played games, shit posted on the internet. That's pretty much it.
That really fucking, I don't know, that's a weird situation in general with, the disability stuff, because it's as if, so if you're going to, receive money from, social health care or whatever to take care of you, then you're not allowed, if you find some way to overcome your disability and make extra money, then they're going to penalize you for that. That's, our government is
From what
strange.
from what I've been told from my case manager, because I have a separate case manager to help me with all this, as long as I keep reporting what I'm reporting for like getting from New Blood, everything will be hunky-dory. I don't get in trouble. There was one time where they're like, hey, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh, that's money. That's what it is. It was just dumb stuff. Like, it came around my birthday and I got extra money from other sources and they wanted to ask about that. And they were like, what's this New Blood thing? And I was like, that's the same thing I've been reporting for a year. Y'all know about this.
I don't want to get all like conspiracy theory on you, but doesn't that seem like the government making you, or people in general who are disabled at all, like they take you when you're, when you need them, and then they kind of keep you from ever becoming unimpoverished. It's like you have to live on just what we give you and report to us on everything. That sucks, dude. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
I'm used to it, really. It's just another thing I have to do once a month.
Were you injured or?
It's physical and mental.
Okay, I understand. You're in the military?
No.
Okay. None of my business then. But
I tried to be in the military, though, but everything started popping up. Like, yeah, it's a lot of dumb shit. But, yeah. Probably not something you want on your podcast.
I don't care, dude. I'm talking to Steve. It's, people tune in for the games and they stay for the people. That's the way it's supposed to work. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We come for the drinks, we stay for the bartender, the conversation. That's the way. Or you go to the same barber for years, not because they're the best at cutting your hair, but because they, you can pour all your fucking heart and soul into them while they cut your hair. They're like a cheap therapist. No helping.
I'm paying you $20 for an hour to cut my hair and listen to me bitch. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. What are the other projects? So you've already mentioned, we talked about Dusk and Medieval a little bit. Like ULTRAKILL came in a year ago ish, maybe not quite that long.
If it was, it certainly doesn't feel like it.
And when you get a new game and you break into it, because that game already had been semi-published in an early access form. At least there was a demo and such. Had you been aware of it before it came into New Blood?
Yes, Dave will sometimes talk to us about, hey, we got sent this. Let's take a look at it. How do you guys feel about it? And he'll gather our opinions, but in the end, it's 100% Dave's call, but he likes getting all of our opinions as well to help out with the decision making.
And so how do you tackle it?
Whatever build we get, like before they come into New Blood, we just play it and we give our opinions.
Okay.
And then once like Dave pushes the button, they sign the contract or whatever, they come on in and they're part of the New Blood family. And then it goes on from there. Oh god, why am I yawning? It's 9:20. Ugh.
It's late, dude. You gotta go to sleep.
No, I don't sleep. I don't sleep till like I have royally messed up my sleeping pattern. I don't sleep till 6 a.m. now these days.
I don't know. I work shift work, so it's whenever the fuck I can close my eyes for a few seconds, and that's pretty much all I get.
I used to be like that, but now it's just like I have to actually wait for my brain to be like, okay, it's actually really time to go to sleep before I can even fall asleep.
I honestly, like, I just go until I shut down, like until my body just we're done, and then it's like a 14-hour hibernation period, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, there's so much shit I have to do today, and then I go right back into it and repeat that cycle. It's like I don't know, it's fucking shitty because I work a full-time job, and then doing this, the keeps and everything has been, over almost 3 years now. 3 year now, like slowly building this project up from the ground has become a second kind of full-time job for me as well. So, like when you do, game reviews or, interview people who work in the industry and all that kind of shit, like people assume like, man, you must spend a lot of time playing video games. Like, man, I fucking wish. I want Steve's job. That's what I want to do.
I mean, even with everything I do with like all of our QA stuff, I really haven't had a time to play any like new releases or whatever.
Does it feel like work, or do you enjoy just, getting to play through the same fucking levels over and over again on every different?
I enjoy it. Cuz it's some sort it's like this feeling of like trying not to sound like a fucking dork, but imagine finding like this bug, like it absolutely destroys your ears. It's just like really loudly. And then in the next build it's fixed. It's like, I helped. I did something today.
Yeah, there's something about working on a team too, where it's like, when you get the finished product, that all that hard work paid off.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, what's the communication like within you and the other guys? Like, so you find a bug, and then obviously you upload it to your tool and everything. But do the other playtesters have to then recreate the same bug that you did to confirm it, or do you guys all just kind of take on different things at a time? Like, do you get like, hey, Steve's gonna do ULTRAKILL, and 500's gonna do, I don't know, the latest build for fucking Dylan's game. God damn it! Why am I drawing a blank here? Yeah, how embarrassing. So is it divided amongst you guys by person, or is it like everybody was tackling one thing at a time?
It's pretty much whoever gets to it gets to it. I know Scott right now is like pretty much hammering out Dusk on Switch. I think Cam's helping with that as well.
That sucks. I mean, it's really cool to have Dusk on Switch, but like, I wouldn't want to have to do that. Are you a console gamer at all, or is it mostly PC for you? How do you do it?
Mostly PC. I do have a Switch. I have like 20 consoles to my right.
Yeah.
I guess from this gen, well, within like, I guess last gen now, because in 3 days the PS5's out, and then fucking, what was it, like 10 days, the next Xbox is out. But I have a PS4 Pro and a Switch over there.
I enjoyed watching you were like live tweeting yourself in line to the pre-order of the PS5.
Oh.
That looks like hell.
There were people there since the night before. They got there at 9 p.m. and they were camping there till that morning. And my friend who's the manager there was like, yeah, if you get there around 6 or 7 a.m., we'll probably have a pre-order for you. And then he came out, he saw me, and he was like, oh, fuck. And then he announced, we only have 7 consoles. And I was like, all right, I'm going home. Fuck it.
So, like, I personally could give two shits. I will never wait in line like that for any console or pretty much anything, period. But maybe Garth Brooks tickets. But the fact that people are willing to do that, months ahead of time before they even, know what the product is going to be like, I feel like they could just do it earlier. They could do it like a year in advance and then just sell an infinite amount of, pre-orders and then base their production on that. And then also factor in like, how much supplies they're going to have to buy and everything, and then make a decision. Instead of having this situation where people are just like dying in line and then not even getting what they came to get.
Yeah, I wasn't originally going to do it, but I figured I live in a small town. I'll have a chance to get the pre-order in, because with pre-orders, I like GameStop, you put down like $50 and then you could pay it off over the months. So by the time it's out, you're like, oh, it's paid off. I can go pick it up. I don't have to worry about any extra money. I don't have to worry about that. Kind of like having like installments on a payment plan or whatnot. That's kind of what I was going to do for the PS5.
Yeah.
But I really wish, like, it's funny that you brought up the whole just doing unlimited pre-orders and sending them out when they like have the stock, because I was talking to someone in front of me in line, like, why don't they just do this? Like, the world is a fuck right now. I don't think as long as I like secured a console, like it's paid off, it'll be shipped to me when it's ready, I'd be happy. But yeah, it's kind of just ridiculous how pre-orders work these days for like physical hardware.
Yeah, it just sucks for anyone really who has. Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I just think you guys are all stupid for waiting in line to get the new console.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm stupid.
But I mean, if I were doing business that way, you got to consider that they only have a limited number of people, factories, supplies, and all that kind of shit. So they could just. I'm assuming what they're doing right now is they're factoring up. All right, we're going to produce this many. We're going to pre-sell them. We're going to see how the pre-sale goes, and then we'll figure out production after that. But if they just moved that back in some time and said like, okay, you paid for it, you're first in line, and then ship it to you when it's done, then that would be no problem. Like most people wouldn't even matter. So it's just like I pre-ordered it a year in advance, and I'm number blah 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 in line to receive my PS whatever 62 or by the time this ever gets put into place.
Yeah.
And then based on your order in line, that's when you get it. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm sure that they probably know how to do it better than I do.
Amazon does that for when they know they're getting shipments in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if an item is already out, but it goes like out of stock, like temporarily out of stock, but they know they have more shipments coming in, you can order it and you'll be put in a line and you'll get it when, like, say they know they're getting 3 shipments in, but you didn't make it in time for the first shipment. You'll be in the second shipment and that's when you'll get it. But I don't know. I don't know.
We're not going to solve all the world's problems. Especially not these really important world's problems, like how to get your console on time. The real problem is just having to stand in line and be miserable for no results. What what made you into this gamer person to begin with?
Maybe just like playing games in general from a like what got me into video games, or just the game development part?
No. Like when did little Steev become a gamer?
Tetris on the NES when I was like 4 years old.
Okay.
That literally the first game I played was Tetris. And then we had the Dunk Hunt and Dunk Hunt? English?
You should make a game called Dunk Hunt, where it's like throwing basketballs at ducks.
Yeah, we had the Duck Hunt / Super Mario Kart, and that got me hooked. I'd like play that every damn day.
I loved it. I still have it, like the NES over in the corner of my room right now. And I don't ever really play the NES, but every now and again I pick up the Duck Hunt gun, and the satisfying little ding you get when you hit it. Hold on, I'm gonna grab it and see if I can record this sound. Oh fuck, it's really in there, Steev. Hold on. Dumpster diving.
We'll be right back.
Alright, I wrestled it out. There's a lot of cables in that closet, but
There it is.
that is the most satisfying noise on planet Earth. That's ASMR.
Damn right it is.
I'll never, I'll be 70 years old in a retirement home, and I won't remember my children's names, but I'll remember that sound and everything from SpongeBob. So you get into it from there, like a lot of kids pretty much picked up gaming from specifically those two games, like Tetris and Mario Duck Hunt, the early NES stuff. It's when home consoles really became kind of accessible and popular. But, were you immediately like, this is my passion, this is what I'm going to do with my life? Or did you have a whole journey where you had to figure that out?
I think it was when I got my first computer where I was like, okay, this is probably going to be what my future is revolving around, is a computer. My first stepfather, he ended up putting together from parts he found from here and there. He ended up putting together a Win. I don't remember if it was 95 or 98 SE at the time. I think it was 98 SE. I just remember the beige tower. And it wasn't one of the ones that stood up, it was on the side. So I had the monitor on top of it, which was also beige and all matched. And
The cheap desk riser.
yeah. And that was when like the games I used to play a lot back then really got me hooked. Sadly, my first person shooter would have been Corridor 7, but couldn't play Doom, but I could play Corridor 7.
There's got to be a whole, bunch of people out there who couldn't play Doom but played some really crappy Doom clone, on what was that one that was on the Mac, like way back, Apple II. See, I'm gonna look up a list of Doom clones and see if I can remember the name of it. But any of these games, and then later on realize what they were missing out on. Because what year was this for you?
For me,
early '90s, mid '90s.
I would say about probably 97, 98. Yeah, it had to be around 98, 99, actually, now that I think about it, because I had 98 SE on the PC.
I was 3 years old, something like that.
I was 7, 8, 9? I don't know.
He doesn't know how old he is or when he was born or what his real name is anymore. Marathon, that's what I'm thinking of. Which isn't a shitty game. That's a good game, but
the Bungie game.
Yeah, it was Bungie, you're right. I feel like somebody said they were remaking that, but yeah, that people, had different systems. It was a really weird time, as opposed to now where everything's just kind of cross-platform and fairly accessible for especially PC games. But, at that time, you'd have a different port for a Commodore 64 and Apple II and blah, 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 and all the way up the line until, really id Software, I guess, started to just decide that, like, the PC is the future. We're focusing on the PC. I think that was Carmack's idea, which, he's still probably working on some sort of crazy visionary computer shit that none of us will understand until it's the norm.
Yeah, what was that latest tweet he did? Like something Windows Movie Maker. It was something crazy. I remember. Hold on, let's see. Carmack. It was something like stupid about Windows Movie Maker. Let's see. Carmack. Boom, boom, boom. Windows Media Player messes up the time remaining and has slowdown issues with a video that is 24 hours long or more. And he was like just tweeting about encoding stuff and playing it through Windows Media Player. He's weird.
I mean,
cool but weird.
He never tweets anything like, "Hey, had a great day with my kids and my wife today," or like, "Oh, I love this hamburger." It's always just like some esoteric sounding philosophical crap about computer science that I have no idea what the fuck he means, but I'm glad he exists.
Yeah, same here.
Like a brain in a vat.
200 years from now, John Carmack will still be tweeting like he's from like a brain in a vat, like you just said. Yeah, did you know about Doom?
But you decide, yeah, he'll be like 200-year-old brain in a vat, literally, like Futurama. But then so you decide at this point, you get your PC and you start playing games, and you're like, I know I want to do something with computers. Did you know you wanted to make games, or did you know that you just wanted to work in computer industry of some kind?
It's kind of a tough question. Well, because my life has went left, right, up, down, like so many times. Like things have changed. Like at the time when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I do want to get into like working on games and stuff like that. Like my stepfather at the time bought me like this really weird like game creator software or whatever, and I made like a Galaga clone with it. Okay. That was pretty much as far as that went in that portion of my life. And then like in high school, I was in game design for like 2 years, which really didn't go anywhere. Both years we just made Pong clones, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, we're making a Pong clone again? Okay. All right, I'm done. I'm going to play Halo now. Bye.
So when you graduated high school, did you immediately start, trying to tackle that, or what was your plan at that point?
I ended up having to drop out of high school due to various reasons, so I never never really had the chance. Like the moment I dropped out, I got a job a week later, and I started working at like a local grocery store, and that was what my life was at that time. Games and all that kind of took a back seat. Like I was just buying the yearly COD. I wasn't really playing much of anything else. Like sometimes I boot up the original Xbox and play Morrowind, but at the time I wasn't really doing much in gaming. Like all this game development stuff was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then all this New Blood stuff started happening a few years back, and I was like, whoa, hey, what the? Oh, okay, this is cool. This is happening now.
It's the brass ring at the end of the, long tunnel of hardship.
Yeah, gotta get that brass ring.
At least it's a good a lot of brass rings are just bullshit. You get up there and it's not even really brass, it's just like tin and it breaks in your hand, but...
Yeah, like Vince McMahon's. I mean, huh?
Are you a big wrestling fan?
Oh, hell yeah.
Me fucking too, bro. I used to, I can't believe I didn't bring this up with Dave when he was on the show, but I was a very low level, like semi-pro, in the Southeast when I was, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old in that area. And it was like all I cared about in life was wrestling. There was nothing else to me. This was like the kind of CM Punk era too. So when wrestling was like kind of cool, like when WWE had like a brief moment of being cool again, but then it went away.
Like the pipe bomb and all that stuff, Money in the Bank, where he beat Cena. Yeah.
Are you into AEW at all?
Yeah.
I
haven't been able to really catch shows lately. Like I watched Full Gear, but I was also like half asleep watching it, so I don't really remember much.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna sometime later this week get a group together in Discord and watch it, but I don't know. I fucking hate WWE at this point. Like I can't even watch it. I don't know. It's gone too far away from, what I actually think the art of wrestling is supposed to be about. But I mean, I get it for like casual fans, but for me, like I see the workers, I see what they put into it, and I see them not get where they want to be, and it really irritates me because I know it's just corporate bullshit in their way. AEW has been way cooler to me. Plus, there's blood and guts and like actual, like 90s style, like good wrestling going on.
Yeah, I've been watching more New Japan recently.
Oh, dude.
Just because I turn out to be awake at that time at like 3, 4 in the morning when their shows are on. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch Road to, I think it was Power Struggle that was recently.
Yeah.
Caught a few of those shows. I don't remember shit about them, but I caught them.
One of my big dreams in life is I want to go to Wrestle Kingdom and actually see it in person. Because it's fucking like 6-hour long event usually. Like way bigger than WrestleMania in terms of just like the pageantry and stuff.
They are 2 days now, so yeah.
Fuck. Yeah.
Wrestle Kingdom 15 is going to be January 4th and January 5th.
Well,
and you can buy your tickets now at New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Definitely not going to make it. One day I will go. I never thought we would see Kenny Omega on American television. That's the other cool thing that's been going on, maybe 5-10 years ago. Ring of Honor had its time, and all these guys that we're starting to see on TV now, like Sami Zayn, who was formerly El Generico, like Kevin Steen, who's now Kevin Owens. I don't even know if he's still
El
on
Generico.
Sami Zayn is El Generico, yeah.
I thought El Generico died. Protecting orphans. What are you telling me?
I'm sorry. You're right. He's a spiritual success. He's like a phoenix risen from the ashes that were formerly El Generico. All those guys. And I never ever thought Kenny Omega would be on American television. And then that's what I really loved about AEW is like all the people that I always wanted to see are finally showing up. Like fucking A, dude. I mean, Jericho's kind of, he's top tier of the company. John Moxley, I remember before he came to WWE, like young John Moxley was like, he had these insane matches that you could only find on like weird websites, but he's like stapling his tongue to the ring and crap, like going absolute crazy death matches with like Necro Butcher and all those guys.
Yeah,
and then
CZW baby.
Fucking I think Punk at some point tweeted like just a picture of Jon Moxley and said our secret weapon, and that was like the first time that me and my friends group anyway knew that he's coming to WWE, and we were like he's gonna be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin for sure. Like and then he shows up with the Shield, and it was all history wrote itself from that point. Garbage, but I mean not that the Shield wasn't cool, but like just he didn't get to do what he wanted to do, and now he is. He's literally like the champion kicking ass right now, and I love that.
Yeah, I was lucky to catch a bunch of his stuff in CZW before he went to WWE, and yeah, it's crazy. He was also there with what's his name? He's the leader of the Dark Order right now.
Oh yeah, Brody Lee.
Yeah, he was also in CZW with him for a time being.
He's another guy that, like, I knew him on the indie scene. I knew he was going to be fucking epic. And then he shows up with the Wyatt family, which is cool. I liked the original iteration of the Wyatt family, but just didn't get anything out of it personally for him. Like, he's such a capable and talented guy that just, there was no place for him in the WWE really, other than to be a like big burly henchman.
Yeah, I think the problem with WWE these days is it's just they try to coax all these people in with big contracts and whatnot, and then people they just got like say, "Oh, we have Cesaro. Cesaro was underused for I don't know how fucking long. He was just floundering while WWE keeps hiring more and more people, and you got this really talented guy here. You're not doing anything with him. Luckily, now he is doing something, but." WWE just doesn't know how to handle their people sometimes.
I mean, they're a corporation, and within the bigger any system gets, the more complex it is, the more prone you are to it's like Newton's second law of dynamics. The more complex a machine is, the more friction it will have, and the less efficient it will be. So, you guys at New Blood, you got a nice, relatively small team, all cohesive. Everybody works well together. Lots of oil, and what I don't know what kind of oil it is. Maybe it's motor oil, maybe it's sexual oil. But you guys are all smooth working together in a small cohesive team, and that's cool. Like that's the sweet spot where it really works. If you guys had 600 employees trying to work constantly on one game that's going to be like the biggest, most complex game ever made, there will inevitably be issues getting the product out. So that's why, like a AAA game, there are some good ones, don't get me wrong, but generally speaking, we've gotten to a point now where every single thing is like delay, bugs. You end up with these Star Wars Battlefront type situations. Or Cyberpunk, like when the fuck is that going to come out? I love CD Projekt Red, man, but when is that game going to come out? Probably in 2079 or whenever.
I think the most recent example I can think of is Watch Dogs Legion. That came out, and it just runs like a wet fart in the wind. It's just bad.
I mean, like, Dusk was, essentially the dream and creative vision of David Szymanski, right? And, obviously you guys all had a hand in how it ultimately ended up being, but there's very little chance for it to be corrupted on its way to being what it finally is. Whereas, the more people working on it, the more different ideas, if you have a big project and you're like, all right, you guys are the graphics guys and you guys are the, 60-person programming team and you guys are going to handle PR and marketing. Like, if any one of those teams or any, group of people in those subgroups fucks up anything, it could ruin the whole project. And then you have to interview or go through 60 different people's work to figure out what went wrong. And then there's hirings and firings, and, people have babies or get injured or whatever the fuck on the way. There's just so many things can go wrong when you have a bigger team.
Yeah, I really like our size right now. Everything's coordinated and we can keep track with what everyone is doing. Especially with all the Trello stuff we have and whatnot.
You guys all seem like a very happy bunch, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to tackle or say?
I don't know. Like I said, this is my first time being interviewed for anything. I never expected to ever be interviewed for anything.
That's all good, man. The moment I met you, I knew I wanted you to be on the show, and I thought you were fucking cool, and you had, I don't know, you're in an interesting place in the industry that doesn't get talked about a lot, right? So, like, I spent a lot of time, like game developers, and I try to do, I want to do everything. I want to bring the full spectrum idea of what does it take to make these things that we love. And, sometimes that's a playtester, sometimes it's a musician, a sound effects guy, a marketer. There's more moving parts than just, the guy with the idea for what the game is going to be. CEOs of companies. It's been weird. It's been like, I said earlier in this conversation how I didn't really understand what all it entailed, and I still don't, but I'm starting to get a fuller picture, and that's what I kind of want to share with people who are an audience of the show. And you're part of that.
Yeah, I guess I would say New Blood's really not all that traditional when it comes to a game company, because we're just a ragtag bunch of people that got pulled in from being a mod team, and now here we are working on some of the, I guess, looking at Steam reviews, best games that have come out in a while, like FPSs at least.
Well, I mean,
Like, I believe Dusk is still, like, super high up there. Like, top 10 or top...
More than just FPSs now, too. I mean, mostly, but I think Faith will be, a test to see if that works out for you guys. And honestly, what he's doing in the grand scheme of things seems to have a, not just, like the 8-bit stuff, but horror games in general that aren't necessarily FPSs seems to have a bigger market than just strictly like boomer shooters or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that game's gonna do really well, though. Like, even before it joined New Blood, it had a big following. Like, because of it, Vinny from Vinesauce actually came up to the booth at PAX East this year. It's actually really hard to believe that was this year with everything that's been going on, but...
Yeah.
And he was like his Airdorf here. But yeah, I think Faith is gonna do really well.
It's such a cool I mean, I've only played the first 2 episodes, and I'm not going to ask you about the third one. But, like, yeah, it's amazing. One of my good friends, Vince Steele, he does a lot of YouTube reviews and stuff for exactly this kind of stuff, like boomer shooters and the whole shebang. But I've never seen him get more, like, excited about doing a review than to do Faith. Because there's something about it being so stripped down and basic, in its design, that makes the horror elements stand out so much more. One of the things I told Airdorf is that, the kind of a mechanic that he sort of copied from a lot of the games at that time, in the late 80s, early 90s, is the infinite scrolling, where you get lost, but you're actually not lost, you just need to change direction, and how fucking horrific that is to the human mind. And the symbolism, too. Like, I think Vince was like obsessed with like, why is this deer here? Like the stag that you run into in the first episode. And I don't know. I think the point is you're not supposed to know. You're just supposed to question it. And because you can't figure out the answer to the puzzle, that's what creates a horrific situation.
Yeah, Airdorf's really good at that shit. I gotta give him props for that. I still gotta play more of it. Like, I played through it a few times, looking for like stuff that was broken and whatnot, but I haven't really found much. So one day I really just gotta sit back. Maybe after 1.0, maybe after when it's all done, I can just sit back and play through it myself, because I'm also a big fan of like horror games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's kind of hard after like QAing all these games for a while. Like, when I try to play Dusk, I just think about all the like the bugs and stuff I ran into and just running through the levels so many times that I enjoy it, but there's just something in the back of my mind. I'm like, I've done this so many times. I'm having fun, but I've done this so many times.
That's true.
that's how it works in QA. That's what you got to do. You got to play through this repeatedly. You got to try and find more and more things that probably need fixed or changed.
Yeah, like, you mentioned earlier that you feel like you don't have like time to really play any other releases and stuff. Does that diminish the fun of playing games to you? Is that you do it for work?
Oh no, not at all. It's just it takes me a lot longer to get to them. Like I know Terminator Resistance, that came out in like what, 2019, like last year. Yeah, it came out in November of 2019. I'm just getting to it now, and it's turning out to be one of my favorite games. I haven't even been able to touch Eternals DLC. I have it. I haven't been able to touch it. And there's like quite a few games in my backlog that came out while we're working on these other games that I haven't been able to touch.
Yeah, I haven't actually got a chance to play the DLC either, but I've seen different people streaming it. I just love that Andrew Hulshult's doing the soundtrack. That's the coolest part to me.
Yeah, our boy's growing up.
He is, man. He's really spreading his wings. It's so cool how, we did Realms Deep and everything, and like all of the little companies here, us and you guys and New Blood, Night Dive, are all getting along, because there's so many people that would see that as like competition, but it's like, no, like we all stand to grow together, and I love that mindset. I think that's actually beneficial to everyone and not just this, cutthroat sort of thing is one of the greatest gifts. To me, that's the best, because essentially my whole career hinges on y'all's success.
Well, we're succeeding pretty well, and we've got other games down the pipeline, like Gloomwood and Faith.
And others. And
Fallen Aces. That's oh shit! I have not talked about Fallen Aces the entire time.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I am a bad person.
No, dude, Fallen Aces is interesting, man. Because it was originally called Fallen Angels. Dave sent me like just the little, that little promo video with the cards falling, and I was like, oh, dude, I knew about Fallen Angels, and I didn't realize that what he was telling me was that y'all were picking up that game.
I didn't really find out till because there was a few, because of course every company has meetings. I had to miss like a month or two of them because I had to take care of my grandfather after he got his knee surgery. So like anytime the meeting was on, that was when I was taking care of my grandfather, so I couldn't be in them. And then one time I came back and Trey and them were in the Discord. I was like, oh shit, really? Fuck, yeah. I've been following this for I don't know how long.
Yeah, I need to get, first of all, I need to get Dylan back on the show, even though I forgot the name of his game earlier in this conversation, but...
Gloomworld. Dusk Gloom.
Amid Gleevil, I don't know.
Thief with guns.
Ultra Gloom? What was it, Civi called it? Yeah, Ultrawood. That should not be a thing. Pretty sure we're all going to be damned to hell for that.
I mean...
But yeah, I'd like to talk to Trey, too.
There's a bunch of stuff about ULTRAKILL out there that I feel like some of the people need Jesus, but let's not get into that.
Hakita is one of the most interesting fucking human beings to talk to, because he's like very cerebral. He's very much on his own path. So like every conversation I have with him is always like... starts out about games, and then we end up talking about some weird fucking, classical music that only him and Dave Szymanski and then me after that conversation know about. And
he does the same thing with all of us. It's pretty great.
Yeah. I didn't even know, when I first had him on the show, I didn't even realize he was in talks with you guys. Obviously, he couldn't tell me. And then when I saw it get picked up, I was unbelievably excited. Like, man, this is amazing. If anybody deserves a break. That's what's so cool about, one of the many things that's really cool about New Blood is that I get to kind of watch all of my favorite game developers get a job. And not just, 3D Realms has been really cool about that too, but, or even Kaiser with New Blood, like watching those guys flourish. I'm just happy. When I talk about New Blood, I feel happiness in my bones. I had a little too much beer. Go ahead. With Night Dive?
New Blood? I was like, wait a minute. He said Kaiser with New Blood. I was like, oh shit, really?
No, that would be crazy. My
Really?
bad. No, swinging down this beer a little too fast, apparently. But no, like when he started working with Night Dive and everything, like that's such a fucking to see that guy who's gone from just Doom mods and shit like that, and then flourish into this amazing developer for they're keeping they're essentially like keeping the history of games alive. That's so cool. But we're over an hour now, man, so I'm not gonna keep you talking any longer than you want to.
Yeah, it's been fun. Sorry that I pretty much suck at this. I probably should have had a drink or two. I would have been a lot better.
If you want to come back anytime and have a drink or whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. I've had fun. I thought this was really enlightening because, again, I don't really understand the full process of what playtesters go through and what they do, and your story specifically with it being like not your main source of income but just something you do out of passion is, I hope that other people are inspired by that.
It would make me happy if one person in the world gets expired. Expired? Yes. I hope you die. I hope you fucking die.
No, dude, you're welcome back literally anytime you want. Or if you, like I said, I'll send you this interview, and if you fucking hate it, then we can just redo it or not do it at all. It's totally up to you. And Dave. It's also up to Dave. But
yeah, probably gonna have to run it through by Dave. A few things I've said. I think it's all good. I didn't say anything that seems to be out of the ordinary than what we've been saying on Twitter and whatnot. So, and what we've said on the public Discord. So I think pretty much it'll be all good, unless I get an angry Discord message like, "Steve, why the fuck you say that?" No.
No, we're cool. I think I've proven at this point that anything that he doesn't want said isn't going to get past me. So.
All right.
Big thank you to Steve for finally finding some time to come on the show. It was awesome. Love to have him back sometime. Thank you to Dave Oshry for kind of helping to set this thing up and give us the parameters so that we didn't spoil anything. And to everyone at New Blood Interactive, you guys have all been so kind to this show. I've had numerous guests from that company on the show, and I can completely intend to continue doing that. It's such an amazing thing to get that little bit of insight into what I think is one of the more exciting things going on in the world of retro shooters and just, awesome games, period. I know that the vast majority of their games have been first-person shooters, but even with Faith and Gloomwood kind of bringing in that MSIM element, so cool. So make sure you go over to their Steam page or GOG or wherever the fuck you buy games and buy all of them because they're all amazing. And I also want to say thank you, as always, to our lovely Patreon supporters. Paul, Moose, Dots, Zach, Alexander, Brad, Red Eyes Green Dragon, Anthony, Robert, Jack, Brandy, Frederick, Lord Revan. As always, it is humbling to me and everyone here at The Keep that you see the products that we turn out as something that's worth supporting with your hard-earned dollar, and I can't thank you enough. But hit me up, though. I got some Steam keys y'all might be interested in. You get in if you're a Patreon supporter, you get into the private Discord group, and I drop episodes early and all that stuff. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're like, how can I support? That's one way. You can also head over to inthekeep.com and find several different ways on our support tab. You can also just grab some merch from our merch store. And I will say that we are making some changes here pretty damn soon, so you might consider buying that merch now because it will be one of a kind collector's item here pretty soon, I'm thinking. No general timeline on that, but just, keep your eyes peeled. Also, gotta say, you can support by checking out our affiliate links. We have a few of them that I think you might like. First of all, the easiest one is Amazon. If you're shopping on Amazon, it's the holidays right now. The Catholidays, people are ordering some shit off Amazon. I know you are. Don't lie. And if you do, consider using our link, and a small percentage of the stuff that you buy, that money won't all just go straight to Jeff Bezos' big fat wallet. It'll come to the Drown God, and you will have fulfilled your part in sacrificing to Cathala. How amazing is that? You can also If you're considering doing your own podcast, perhaps, hit up our Buzzsprout link. You can sign up through there and get yourself a sweet distribution account. It is very reasonably priced. I use it for this podcast. They're not a sponsor. I just found a way to be an affiliate, and we win-win off of us using that service. So consider doing so. If you want your stuff to show up on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all that stuff really easily, and have the best customer service, I think, in the business, definitely recommend Buzzsprout. Lastly, we have an affiliate link for Instacart. So if you are a lazy bum who can't get out there and buy groceries, or right now, this time of year, man, people are busting up the grocery stores in the pandemic situation. I don't blame you if you want to stay home. You can get groceries delivered to your front door in as little as an hour with Instacart. So there you have it. Shout out to all of our sister communities. If you're a Doom player, hit up the Multiplayer Doom Federation, hit up the US Quake and Doom community, hit up the US Quake World community, hit up Rocket Jump Zone, hit up QuakeFans.net. I could go on forever. Watch Red Eyes Green Dragon on YouTube and prepare to die laughing. But until next time, guys, I love you. The Drowned God Kathala loves you. Stay in the keep.